Have you ever noticed something strange? The moment you seriously try to change your life, people around you start slowly disappearing. Some become distant, some start doubting you, some quietly hope you go back to who you used to be. And the weirdest part is sometimes your own mind tries to pull you back. Hello everyone, my name is Vansha and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so lately I have been thinking a lot about change because every time I tried to change and improve my life, whether it was waking up early, going to the gym every day, eating clean, trying to focus on my career, something unexpected happened. The journey didn't just change my habits, it changed my relationships, it changed my mindset, it changed how people perceived me. At first, I thought something was wrong with me. But then I studied the psychology of change and realized something very interesting. Real transformation follows a very specific psychological pattern. And once you understand it, a lot of confusion starts making sense. So stick with me till the end because we are decoding the psychology of change. Okay, so first things first. Why people leave when you change? One of the hardest truths about growth is sometimes when you change, people leave. Not always because they dislike you, but because your change disrupts the script they had of you in their mind. There's always some role that you were playing in their life. Like you were that funny friend, the quiet one, the ambitious one, the struggling one, etc. etc. And when you suddenly change that role, it makes people uncomfortable because your growth forces them to rethink their life. And everyone is ready for that, everyone is not ready for that. So sometimes they distance themselves, sometimes they doubt you, and sometimes they quietly hope that you go back to the way you were and you don't grow because they are uncomfortable. Okay, so the next part is the psychological phases of change. What many people don't often realize is that the real change often happens in emotional phases. First phase is shock. At first, change feels exciting but strange. You start waking up early, trying new habits, thinking differently about your life, but your brain keeps asking a quiet question. Is this really who I am? Another phase is phase 2, denial. Then the old identity begins pushing back. Thoughts start appearing like this. Maybe this isn't sustainable. Maybe I'm trying too hard. Maybe this isn't really me. This is your mind trying to return to familiar patterns. Phase 3 is resistance. This is the stage where most people quit. Motivation drops, old habits start calling you back. People around you may question your change, and suddenly the old version of you comes in your life and makes you comfortable again. Phase 4 is adaptation. But if you stay consistent long enough, something fascinating happens. Your brain begins normalizing the new habits. What once felt difficult is now okay, it's comfortable, it's smooth. And then the last stage is phase 5, identity shift. And this is where real transformation finally takes place. Not when you start your habit, but when the habit becomes the part of who you are. Okay, so the next part of the video is the things that nobody talks about when you change. But there are a few other strange phases that happen in your life that happen when you change. Okay, so first thing is your tolerance for chaos decreases. Conversations that once felt normal start feeling exhausting. Constant negativity, complaining, drama. Your mind starts craving clarity and peace instead of chaos. And sometimes people misunderstand this shift. But it's not an arrogance. It's psychological alignment. Your old habits start feeling uncomfortable. Things you used to do easily, procrastinating, wasting time, scrolling endlessly, suddenly feel wrong. Not because someone forced you to stop, but because your mind has an internal shift, an internal standard. You become more self aware. During growth, awareness increases. You begin noticing your pattern, your emotional triggers, your strengths, your weaknesses, and sometimes that awareness feels overwhelming because you see things you once ignored. Another thing that happens is your silence increases. As people grow, they often talk less. Not because they don't care, but because they are thinking more, overseeing more, protecting their energy more. And also, if you see any successful people in life, you will realize that they talk really less. Another thing is your standards rise. Isn't it obvious? You start expecting better from life, better conversations, better discipline from yourself, better environment, not out of ego, but because you have seen what you're capable of. Now, let's talk about three deep psychological truths about change. After observing this, three powerful truths about change become very clear. First is change creates an identity gap. There is strange phase where you are no longer the person you used to be, but you are not fully the person that you want to become either. That middle stage can feel confusing and lonely. Next stage is growth often looks like isolation. The early stages of transformation are surprisingly quiet. Fewer distractions, more reflection, more discipline. Sometimes it feels lonely. But that silence is often where your mind is rebuilding itself. The third stage is real change is psychological. Most people think change is about discipline, but the deeper truth is that real change happens when your identity shifts. When you stop saying, I am trying to become disciplined, and start believing, I am someone who shows up no matter what. So, if you're currently in that strange phase where your habits are changing, some relationships are shifting, you feel uncertain, I want you to remember something. You're not lost. You're just in the middle of rewriting your identity. And that stage of life can be uncomfortable. But it's also where the most transformations begins. Real change doesn't happen the moment life becomes easier. Real change happens the moment you become brave enough to outgrow the person you used to be. Thank you everyone. I hope you liked this video. Please like, share and subscribe and drop down your suggestions in the comment section. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.